On this episode of the OG and Crab Show, the season starts this week and we'll make some predictions. And as promised, we'll make fun of some bad takes. Play me a song, Crab. Welcome back to the OG and Crab Show. I'm OG, and sliding in next to me, as always, is my partner Crab. There he is. How's it going, Crab?
Hi. Good. Long time no see. We're back.
Yeah, the off season, neither one of us ever really had that mojo going, and it was a cold winter, so
it took a lot out of me. Yeah, it was depressing. It was just snowy and cold and miserable here. We had a blizzard, and then we had like the Pittsburgh false spring where it was like 70 degrees one day and everyone's like, oh, thank God. And they go out and walk their dogs and the kids are riding their bikes and literally it snowed again the next day. It went from like 60 degrees to like 20 in one day. So
yeah,
we're like dealing with it's Pittsburgh 7 stages of winter, but we're back now. We're going to make predictions. Baseball is around the corner. Is it this week?
Thursday, yeah.
Wow.
Thursday at 1:00, the Pirates play the Mets on national TV. We get to see the premiere of NBC back in the baseball business.
Cool. Excellent. I'm excited. I will be honest to the listening audience. I have probably watched an hour of spring training baseball, honest to God, like 2 innings of it. I just can't do it. I just don't care. It's hard to care, OG.
Well, they take the guys you care about out after like an inning and a half anyway. So unless you're super interested in watching guys with 2 ear flaps and no name on the back of their jersey, there's not a whole lot to see. And
those are all future Walmart employees. No offense to Walmart employees. That's who, I just can't get stoked for those narratives. I mean, the narratives that we're interested in is like who the 5th starter is going to be, will Connor Griffin make the team, and so on and so forth. Those are the only good narratives in spring training, I suppose.
So speaking of Connor Griffin making the team, that has been easily the most dominant story of the Pirates spring training cycle. And we learned today, as of this recording, that he will not, in fact, make the opening day roster. He has been reassigned to minor league camp and
womp womp.
Will most likely start the season in Indianapolis in AAA, meaning that Jared Triolo or Nick Gonzalez is probably your opening day shortstop for your Pittsburgh Pirates.
I'm okay with that. I mean, I don't. I think that everybody in the media was kind of gaslighting themselves and trying to wish cast Ben Cherington, the immovable turtle of a general manager who, doesn't move unless he wants to, into doing a stupid thing. Like, the dude has not seen AAA pitching. His spring training was not great. And even though spring training is bullshit, it doesn't mean anything, and I hate it. Like, we don't have much to go off of, right? So it has to count for something in that context. It's not like this is a guy who's a veteran player and we're like, okay, yeah, it's spring training. It doesn't mean anything. So, he is a 19-year-old kid who needs to go to AAA and develop. I mean, I don't know, dude. I just, this whole, like, we got to get the kid up here and we're, the Pirates have to make the playoffs because Travis Williams said the thing and they did the trades. And if they have a secret contract, they're going to sign him and they have to sign him and it's aggravating and nauseating and dumb. He'll be ready when he's ready. End of story. And we're probably going to see him sooner rather than later. So I don't know what we're all butthurt about.
People are really fixated on Griffin and how his absence is leaving this hole at shortstop, which there's some validity to that, but it's also not this fatal flaw that is going to sink the season if he has to spend a few weeks in Indy. And it's also not like they didn't go out and pick up a few all-stars and some legitimate thump, and they bolstered the lineup, and the prediction markets have taken notice. You asked me to pull up the Fangraphs projections for the season before we started the show here. And do you have a guess what Fangraphs thinks the Pirates' finishing record will be in 2026?
Like 80 wins or something, 82 wins.
Very close. 83 and change. They have their predictions somehow have fractions of a win. I don't know how that happens. Either round up or round down, fellas. There's not partial games. But they have them finishing in second place behind the Cubs and a game ahead of the Brewers, which, you know, it's plausible if everything goes well. And it's also like these types of things have 9-game margins of error. So they could finish at that classic 76 again, just as easily as they could, you know, be challenging for the division. No one knows anything.
I don't know anything about the Pirates. I don't even know if they exist. I mean, they are so random, and I don't know. I with them, I just, until I see it, I just don't believe it. But I want to go back to Griffin really quick and make my thesis for Griffin, and you can push back or agree or disagree or whatever you want to do. He's 19. He hit a $174. It doesn't seem like he can hit a fastball, and he might have trouble with some inside pitches. He strikes out 28% of the time and only gets on base 26% of the time. I think that about summarizes his spring training numbers thus far. And if this dude is supposed to be a generational superstar, because, you know, this is like the narrative, right? He has to be that he's Bobby Witt and Mike Trout rolled into a Bryce Harper taco, mixed up with some Julio Rodriguez and, so, you know, A-Rod and blah, 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 Jesus Christ himself. So if that's what this dude is, then spending a couple weeks in AAA and just getting more repetitions is not the end of the world. And frankly, I'd rather have him doing that than coming up to Pittsburgh, struggling because every single person from Bob Nutting down to Greg Brown to me and you are like wish casting on this kid that he's the second coming of Christ on the baseball field. He puts too much pressure on himself. His spring training numbers continue. He gets down on himself. He gets awash with loser energy. And then suddenly we have the makings of a generational bust because the Pirates are doing Pirates things. And then the damned if you do, damned if you don't narrative comes into play, in which every single person is screaming about why they didn't send him down, why they brought him up, and he wasn't ready. So development is still the name of the game in baseball. This isn't, you can't just put Cooper Flagg on the Mavericks and have him make all NBA first team, you know, or VJ Edgecombe or something. You know, this is Major League Baseball. It's very infrequent that 19-year-olds make the jump from double A to the major leagues and don't struggle. So I don't blame them for what they're doing. And plus, if the team gets out of the gate and let's say they're 20-8, like let's say we're doing a 2024, or was that 23? I don't remember now. Let's see, we're 20-8 again. I think we'll see Connor Griffin up here sooner rather than later. If they're 8-20, conversely, why the fuck are they going to bring him up here and waste the season of his, you know, with a lockout looming, his eligibility, like before his arbitration clock. So I'm fine with this. And that's my thesis statement on Connor Griffin.
Yeah, I think it's the right call that he's not starting with the team just based on first of all, spring training, it's such a tiny sample that, yeah, he hit 4 home runs and he hit some loud outs, and that inflates his OPS. It may have dipped under the 800 mark. I haven't looked in the last couple days, but it was even as late as a couple days ago, it was above 800. But all of those other things you said are true. The whiff rate is there. It's like he's picking which kind of pitch he wants to hit hard and missing the other ones. There is still growth yet to come, and he showcased the tools. Everybody sees that, but he's not ready today to be a major leaguer, and that's okay. He's 19, turning 20. Like, chill, everybody. It's going to be all right. It's going to be okay.
I mean, I'm not going to compare him to Jose Guillen or Aramis Ramirez, but as far as like big time Pirates prospects in my lifetime that were like highly touted, and I might be missing a few others, but like those are the two that spring to my mind, quickly when it comes to this. Like, I remember the Pirates weren't very good in those times, and every person from the, in the Post Gazette and everyone wanted to see players come up and contribute because they're trying to like leapfrog into contention and into like credibility somehow. And it ruined those two guys. With Guillen, it took him years to kind of like cycle through. I think he was a Billy Bean reclamation project before he figured it out, had a couple decent seasons. And, obviously Aramis Ramirez had a pretty fine career in like he was one of those hall of like very good type guys, or, hall of kind of good, or whatever you want to call him. But like, his first season wasn't very good, and he came up here and struggled, and everybody was upset, and, he ended up being traded for nothing because, he was this unproven guy. So point is this, I just don't see the need to rush anybody up here if they're, and like I think you made this comment before we got on the air here, like, there's a possibility that, that Connor Griffin, hits like kind of a Bubba Chandler type of development where he's like stagflation, stuck in between, not good enough, clearly good enough to be in the majors, but like not, we don't know, what we're going to get from him. And, he's like kind of trending in between. So just let the guy develop and go from there. And Paul Skeens, God love him. That fucking dude is a rock star. That's a dude. Like, to quote like Drax in Guardians of the Galaxy, that's a dude. That's no man. That's a dude. Like, he got up here and he's skewed everybody's perceptions that like every player is going to come up and be Paul Skeens. Sometimes they turn into Henry Davis. So be careful what you wish for, Pirates fans. I'd rather err on the side of caution with Connor Griffin.
Yeah, and I think I'd like to add that what's going to make the Pirates succeed or fail this year is not whether or not Connor Griffin can ride in and save the day. What's going to make the Pirates succeed is Brian Reynolds not repeating last year, O'Neal Cruz not repeating last year, Ryan O'Hearn living up to that contract he signed, Marcell Ozuna bouncing back from that hip injury and hitting a bunch of home runs. Who else did
Plus
they get?
Internal improvement, our favorite prospect.
Brandon Lau, staying on the field and, putting up a great walk year. That's if all of those things happen, if Spencer Horwitz continues to hit like he did the second half of last year after he got going, coming off his wrist injury last spring, like if all those ingredients mix in, you're not going to miss having your generational shortstop, not starting until whatever week of May or whatever it winds up being. Those are the guys that are going to determine the success or failure of the season. Those guys, plus, of course, the pitching staff. Like, we all just assume the pitching staff is going to be good, because if they're not, forget it. Pack it up and go home. We treat that as almost like it's not a variable. But the guys at the top of the order, the veteran hitters, need to hit. That's going to be the determining factor.
Well said.
Let's do some predictions, and
Okay,
we'll just make them up as we go.
Yeah, I love being like confidently wrong about lots of things in this world, and loud and arrogant while doing so. So let's do it.
Well, I've got one that I've been sticking to over the last several weeks, so I'm gonna carry it forward here, and that is that Jared Triolo is going to be a league average hitter or better, and is going to post at least 3 Fangraphs WAR this season.
Am I supposed to take like the over or under on this one?
Whatever you want to do. If you think that is, if you think that's
3?
madness and you want to call me out for it, if you just
So
want
you
to like
saying
go right
so
into
you're
your
s-
hot take,
no,
like,
no, no.
what do you want to do?
So you're saying Triolo posts 3 WAR at the end of the season?
He'll have a 3 WAR season and he'll be a league average hitter or better. So that's a WRC plus, OPS plus, whatever metric you want of 100 or better.
I'm gonna take the under on that.
Okay.
I can't.
That's the
I mean,
chalk.
yeah, I don't think he's gonna be like. Do I think Triolo is going to become greater than the sum of his parts at this stage of his career? No. I think he's exactly what he is. That's okay. But I just 3 is a lot. I just can't. I can't do 3.
Brian
that in
Hayes put up a
half.
4 when he was in that, in his best year, just being a defender.
Okay, well maybe. I don't know. Nah, still not gonna take it.
Okay. What do you got?
I think the best. I don't have any hot takes per se. I just, I mean, I don't have a particular take. I think that, I think the Pirates probably wish they wouldn't have moved O'Neill Cruz off of shortstop right now, because I think probably the best version of this team puts Jake Mangum in center field and O'Neill Cruz at short right now, and that would solve a lot of our problems as far as lineups go. But c'est la vie, and it is what it is. I don't really have any hot takes. I think I'm just interested to see, like, this is kind of like a crab take. I think someone's going to get hurt pitching wise, or conversely, maybe Jared Jones doesn't come back and is not effective like we think he is. I think there's this kind of really weird narrative that I see in like all of the Pirates places on the internet that I travel to, where everybody, like you said earlier, everybody just thinks the pitching can't get hurt, and that they're just like a lock to be these studs. Outside of Paul Skeens, I just don't know if all of that. I mean, maybe Keller is Keller at this point, but like the rest of these guys, I think it's just a toss up. So, Bubba Chandler could come up and just be effectively wild and get demoted again, or just have like these games where he like strikes out like 10 one game, and then the next game like walks 7. It's going to be like a wild ride with him. I don't think it's going to be this linear curve where it's just like, always like the line is not going to go up for him all the time. I think the 5th rotation spot is kind of up for grabs, and every good Pirates team has had a good 5th starter. So I just think the pitching is, for me, like something I'm going to like kind of keep an eye out on, to see how it progresses and see what they do. I don't feel I'm glad Fangraphs has him at 83 wins. I understand they found some all-stars under a rock and picked them up, and that's cool. Good job, Ben. You should have been doing that in year 1, but okay, year 7. All right, sounds good. We'll take what we can get. But they were so historically bad last year. I just think we underestimate or overestimate one of the estimations, how much like climb there is on that hill, how big the hill is to climb to get them out of where they were at last year. So I'm not like super confident that they're just going to come up here and hit the hell out of the ball. I still think that most of them can't hit. And once pitchers actually go to work on day 1 and stop fucking around at spring training like they typically do, like we're already starting to see a couple games this week where they were like, checking scores. I'm like, they're not hitting. And somebody was like, you got to be kidding me, bro. Like, I don't know if I'm looking, they're not hitting. Like everybody's sphincters are tightening because opening week is coming. So like now they're trying to throw the ball, and the Pirates aren't hitting it very well. So I'm still worried about their offensive output.
Yeah, that's valid. I think I tend to be on the hopeful side of the spectrum if I'm taking my temperature right now on how the offense is going to do this season. I believe a little bit in the whole lineup protection concept and the argument that Cruz and Reynolds will benefit from having more dangerous hitters around them so that
I'm
they
still not
don't get
convinced
pitched around.
Ryan O'Hearn is a real player. I mean, the amount of people who've told me like they spent $30 million on him and therefore he must be like a real player. I'm just like, this guy was almost DFA'd like 3 years ago. I don't know. Like, to me, there's still this like uncertainty. That's why we were able to get him for 2 years and $30 million. So, not to cut you off, but I'm still worried that like these guys are just gonna all hit loser energy, go to loser island.
That's been your experience, right? Your whole life you've been you've been beaten down by
Aside from
any
the
kind
20
of expectations with the Pirates, like meeting reality, and then wham.
Well, this is the part of the podcast where you put in the snippet of Morgan Freeman in the Shawshank Redemption. He's like, "It's the hope that'll kill you," and that's what it comes down to. Hope will kill you.
Well, let's do our.
So wait, before we're done, we're gonna do our games one predictions. Or we have any other predictions?
That's right where I was going. Let's
Oh, okay,
let's
sorry to
predict
cut you off.
the end. Let's predict the standings and the record.
Well, I'm on record as saying that I trust the Fangraphs very smart brain power computer people, because they're usually right on when they call us a bunch of losers. And this year they say we were supposed to win 83 games. So I guess I go with that, even though like my brain and my heart are like, that's too high. I hope to be delighted this summer and have a fun summer of winning Pirates baseball. This is my dream. And I hope 83 is where we get to. But
Last year, 83 wins got the Reds into the playoffs. Does 83 wins get the Pirates into the playoffs in 2026?
I don't know. Oh gee. Well, I mean, if you look at some of these divisions in the National League, it's like, do we think that the Mets are real, like a real good team this year? You tell me, like yay or nay. I'll just go round robin. Do you think the Mets are going to be good?
No.
Okay. Think the Phillies are going to be good?
I don't think they're going to be 88 wins good, which is where Fangraphs has them.
Okay, what about the Cubs?
I think the Cubs are going to be better than what Fangraphs has them. I think they're going to be closer to 90 than right. Fangraphs has them at 86. I think they're over that.
Okay, and what about the? I'm just gonna throw the Brewers out there. Because they always do voodoo magic, weird shit. I mean, the Cardinals and Reds, I think, are gonna be kind of in Pirates land this season.
I'm honestly blown away that anybody has the Pirates projected ahead of the Reds and the Brewers. The Reds especially because, I mean, now injuries notwithstanding, the Reds have already suffered some serious pitching rotation injuries. Most notably, Hunter Green will miss roughly half the season. So I guess that feeds into why their record is projected to be that much lower right now. But otherwise, it feels like these are the same teams, the Reds and the Pirates. And then the Brewers, like you said, like the devil magic, until they fail to, do that incantation again, like they're going to find a way to be better than everybody thinks they will, like they do every single year.
So the top 6 teams get in, right?
Top 6. You got your 3 division winners and you got 3 wild cards.
All right. The Dodgers are going to be good. I think they're going to win more than 99 games here. So I would assume they're going to be the juggernaut in the class of the National League. The Giants, I don't know a goddamn thing about the San Francisco Giants.
Yeah, look at that NL West. All of a sudden, very weak.
Right.
On the predictions.
I don't know. Do they get it? I mean, do the Pirates get in? Maybe. Do I think that that's somehow this like big win? Like, yes and no, because
we'll take it, but it's not going to be the magic that, unless they manage to like win their way through a wild card series and then get to play at night, it's not going to have that feeling.
It's not about the feeling. I've said many times that like getting into the playoffs is better than not being in the playoffs, because by definition you're closer to,
yes,
you're in the tournament and closer to winning or getting into a World Series. Just
absolutely.
Okay, so if I'm going to stay logically consistent, that's what I want. Because if it was good enough for Neil Huntington, God damn it, it's good enough for Ben Cherington. Now it's good enough for Crab. So getting in, I want them to get in. I just don't. I just with their pitching, maybe they do weird things if they get in. I don't know, but I could easily see them being bounced in, you know, a similar fashion how the Reds were last year. And if that's the case, I'm not sure what to make of that. But I guess that's a problem for future me.
Well, you know, as I sit here and look at all these other teams, their projections would keep the Pirates out of the playoffs. And I'm usually a pessimist, but my goodness, I was burned last year predicting that the NL East would just steamroll the National League, and then none of them could get out of their own way the entire season. The Mets just completely collapsed and let the Reds back their way into an 83 win playoff spot, which was pathetic. And I think the Phillies, I don't think they got better over the winter, and they definitely got older. The Pirates, I'm kind of talking myself into an 85 win season and a wild card berth. Like here live, just staring at these projected standings, there's a lot of very meh teams in the NL.
So you're saying 85 wins and a wild card berth?
Yeah.
Okay.
Wild card 3. I don't think they're going to do anything but sneak into the very last spot, and they're going to need help to do it, but they'll get that help. There's going to be collapses and bad luck elsewhere, and they will fumble and bumble their way into that. And then they will get, they'll play at 1 p.m. in the wild card round.
You are so fixated on this daytime 1 p.m.
I hate it. Like, I absolutely hate it. When I think back to the magic of that Johnny Cueto game and just the atmosphere and the visuals of the blackout at night, and everybody was fired up and was like getting geared up for it all day long. And then I contrast that with every Cleveland Guardians playoff game that has taken place since they expanded the playoffs, and they play in the afternoon in broad daylight and nobody can watch, and it's on like TBS 3. It's terrible.
Back in the olden days, they used to have the World Series on at like 1 o'clock in the afternoon.
Oh, I know. Yeah, so. that footage of Maz winning the 1960 World Series was daytime baseball, and that's wild to think of now. But you know, playoff baseball happens at night, man. It does.
You know, I don't care when they play. I tease about being on in the morning because, you know, it's funny. It's a good like laugh line. But like, if I want to be in the playoffs, it's closer to what I want the goal to be. My only problem is if they get into the playoffs this year, I mean, Ben Cherington is going to be here for a lot longer, and I don't think I can. I think I have to kill myself.
Oh, that's so a good point. That's a good point.
He's my nemesis. I hate him, and
if he was successful, does he stay your nemesis?
I mean, if they win a World Series, I will get a Ben Cherington tattoo somewhere on my body. No joke.
Okay. That's a pretty safe thing to promise, because the likelihood of them winning the World Series per Fangraphs here is 2%.
Okay, that's more than 0%.
More than 0, which is where it was last year. Yeah.
Yeah.
We're moving up.
So it's a 2% chance. So if there's a prediction market, if you want to go into Polymarket and bet on Crab's tattoo, now's your chance to trade that or whatever they do there. So yeah, I mean, I don't want Ben Cherington to beat me. I was hoping to beat him at this game. And if he wins, then I'll be sad.
Does he know that you guys are competing?
I mean,
life or death struggle?
Yeah. I mean, I feel like it's like, no, he doesn't know. He doesn't know or care. And I don't want him to know. I want to just continuously hate him in my dungeon of hate here. And just like, I don't want him to know anything about what I do. I don't need him to know. But yeah, so if they win, get in the playoffs, it's exciting. I'm going to stick with the Fangraphs predictions and say 83 wins.
If either one of us are right, it's going to be a much more enjoyable year than we've had in a long, long time, at least a decade. So that would be no messing around. That would be really, really cool.
It'd be good for my mental health. Last year,
yeah.
all the hatred, it was a lot. It's a lot to hate somebody all that time.
Well, and they got off to such a bad start that we knew by like May that the season was over, so we could just stew in the hate for the rest of the year.
The first episode of last year, I was screaming that it's the same fucking team from 2025 or 4 or whatever. So I mean, we knew, you and me, because our brains are evolved. We could see, oh, they can't hit. So if they go to New York and they can't hit, we're gonna know right away. If Ryan O'Hearn is doing like Henry Davis shit out there, the first game, God love him, like I got my finger on the trigger. I'm ready to just jump to conclusions.
Yeah, let's put 3 runs on the board for Paul Skeens on opening day so that maybe he can take home a W for whatever brilliant performance he turns in.
Because all they're going to do is just talk about Paul Skeens, the Cy Young, and Connor Griffin. And it's going to be just like, please don't look like fucking idiots on television in New York, of all places, against a $400 million lineup.
On national television.
Yeah, before the lockout.
Don't embarrass us, boys. That's all we ask. Well,
okay, what else? What else we got?
We have a stockpile of bad takes on video that I've been collected many weeks ago. And we keep promising to get to making fun of them, and we're going to make fun of them now.
Excellent. I like this. I like passing judgment on people. I feel like it's what I was born to do.
So over the winter, the topic that nobody can stop talking about is, of course, the impending lockout and how the owners are going to push for a salary cap. And so the union, of course, has a full court press going in with their media allies to counter that narrative. And Manfred is out there trying to further his narrative for the owners. And so the war of words continues. And so we've got some takes along those lines.
Who's the first victim?
The first victim is Trevor May, who was a reliever for, I want to say 9 years, maybe more than that. Pitched for the Mets, pitched for the A's, pitched for the Twins. And now he is a podcaster, appears on lots of different shows. And this is his YouTube channel, which, according to the branding there in the corner, is part of the Foul Territory Network.
And they are known for having enormous brain power at Foul Territory.
We have made fun of them on several occasions. And so this is Trevor reacting to the reaction around baseball after following the Kyle Tucker contract with the Dodgers.
What does this mean for baseball? What happens now? What happens now? Are we going to have a lockout? You know me. You know where I'm coming from with the CBA talks. And everyone's like, it's guaranteed to have a lockout now. And fans, rightly so, are up in arms. Like, we have to do something. We have to do something. I just want you guys to know that if we think that a salary cap is going to meaningfully change this stuff just out wholesale right out of the gate, a lot of this stuff is still going to happen almost exactly the same way, especially with these short-term deals. Like, there's more finagling to go. So a lot needs to change, okay? A lot needs to change. But I understand the sentiment. It's frustrating. I will say this, though, and this is something that no one is saying very clearly into a camera, so I'm going to look straight into this lens and say this. The Los Angeles Dodgers being a problem and the narrative from the league that, hey, guys, spending's out of control. The ownership group for the LA Dodgers is in the room with the other 29 teams complaining about it. Rob, you have their phone number. The calls coming from inside the house. It seems so silly to me to imagine this like a metaphor. It's a bunch of owners, 30 of them standing there, and they all have their arms around the Dodgers like, these rascals, and they're talking to the players like, hey guys, we need you guys to accept a salary cap so we can rein this guy in. And you're like, what? He's part of your group. You guys could talk to him. This seems like something maybe that would be a good option. So to act like this
Okay.
this
He's talking about collusion.
Yes.
He's talking about collusion. What an idiot. This dude's an idiot.
He is.
Oh my God.
He
Brain
is
dead.
He is pitching collusion as the solution to an alternative solution to a salary cap to rein in the Dodgers spending. He's saying, don't do that. Do collusion.
Remember that meme that was on the internet from like 10 years ago where it was like some random chick on Twitter where she was like, men will do anything to avoid therapy. And then they would put in like the things that men will like go to war or like collect, rare coins and there's always like
Start a
joke.
podcast.
Men will do blank to, this is that meme incarnate. Trevor May, if you are listening, you have an open invitation to come to the show and debate Senor Kreb, because this is the most brain dead take I have ever heard. Men will do anything, including legalizing collusion against the rank and file of your own union to prevent talking about revenue sharing and a salary cap. That is how stupid this is. 30 years ago, 40 years ago, when ownership did this, they got the asses kicked in a court of law and the pants sued off of them, and they had to pay the union many millions of dollars because they were colluding. And collusion is, hey, how you doing over there, Jerry Reinsdorf? Hey, Bud Selig, how are you? Hey, let's not spend any money. I'm right on. I'm ahead of you, brother. Let's go tell Artie Moreno not to spend. And they knock on the door. Hey, Artie, how are you? And Artie's like, I would also like to keep labor costs down. Let's all not spend on free agents. Boom, collusion. That's not a real thing. And that shouldn't even be here. And what? Ooh, I'm mad. Because
I knew you were going to get a kick out of this one.
Dumb.
I was watching your
so
face
dumb.
as you realized what he was saying, and it's like, this is perfect.
I'm gonna give me a stroke. There's an entire generation of brain rotted YouTube children in Gen Z. God love them. You have children in this generation. I have some children in a similar generation. I love the children. I'm not old man yelling at cloud. But the media literacy in this country is fairly fucking poor right now. And so a bunch of people are watching Trevor May with his brain rot takes and running back to their various corners of the internet and going like, hey, we don't need lockout because they could just like collude. They could just talk to the Dodgers. The calls are coming from inside the house. And they think that's a real take. Rant over. Pathetic loser shit. That's loser energy, Trevor May. Read a fucking book, brother.
Oh, and he didn't stop there. I mean, he doubled down. He tweeted the same sentiment. Well, no, I'm not going to play any more of the clip. We'll move on to some other ones. I just want to like point out that like this isn't something that he caught and then came back and said, "Oh, guys, I didn't realize what I was saying." Like he was tweeting the same argument. And
so in
like,
other words, he practiced it in front of a mirror and he was like, "That's the one, Trevor."
Yeah.
Oh, Trevor, you're so.
Yes.
Oh, what a take. And his wife's like, "Trevor, you got a great take, baby."
And here's
you
the
should
other
go to
thing.
your podcast.
This was my reaction as soon as he said, "It's like, dude, you're asking them for collusion." And so I don't usually do this. I immediately went to the comments on this video and just started scrolling, looking for any enlightened soul to say like, Trev, you're asking them for collusion. It took like 3 days for somebody, even one person, to say, "Isn't that collusion?"
It's
the
sad.
brain rot is expansive.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like the guy from Idiocracy sometimes because, like Brondo, it's what plants crave. And the guy's like, plants need water, bro. Like, and everyone's like, what? It's the same thing. I feel like I'm living in that timeline right now. Like, oh, that's collusion. I'm sorry. That's a really stupid idea. And people are like, what? What are you talking? Oh my God. Look at this fucking guy over here with his giant 75-cent words. It's like, collusion?
Yeah.
Not that crazy.
Well, moving along, this next one requires a little bit of setup because what we're going to make fun of is going to come after the clip. It's going to be Talking Baseball, the John Boy Show. they're reacting to Rob Manfred, who went on, this is back in January, went
So we're doing a
on
meta
to,
reaction to the reaction.
well, we're going to see what they're reacting to because it's important context, and we can talk about it too. But if you just roll right into what they're saying, you're like, what are they talking about? Why are they saying this? So this is Rob Manfred on WFAN in New York. So it's like that's the
So he's
radio
basically
station that carries the Yankees. You
on
can
the
see
Death Star. He's at the center of the world, baseball world.
Yeah, and so this is a daytime sports talk in New York City, and Commissioner Manfred is on to talk to the two hosts here.
And we do hear from fans in a lot of markets that, gee whiz, when we look at the resources they have compared to the resources that are available in our market, we don't feel like it's quite a fair shake. And that's an issue we're going to have to deal with.
So what keeps you asleep more at night? The prospect of the Dodgers being a super team, or the reality that there's still some franchises that are unwilling to get into the game and spend the type of money that it seems like you have to spend to be just competitive?
Yeah, I want to quibble with one word, unwilling.
Okay.
I think unable is really a better word. But having said that, I worry more about the latter. And I worry more about the latter because I think when you have a 162-game season, you have to think all the time and listen to your fans when they're saying, we don't feel like we have a chance to compete.
Right.
Because when people feel like they don't have a chance to compete, they check out on you.
Yeah, I mean, and you say
right now. I'm checked out right now because I have to use 83 wins on Fangraphs as some kind of emotional Viagra to get myself rock hard for this cluster of a season where we're hoping of getting. This is this freaking guy on the right hand side. This guy who's like, "Are they unwilling?" And Manfred's like, "Maybe they're unable." I don't understand why don't the Pirates, I'm going to make this joke for the umpteenth million time. Why don't the Pirates simply just move to Los Angeles and get a $300 million, $1 billion TV deal? Are they stupid? I don't understand. Or perhaps maybe Bob Nutting should get a divorce and then wreck the team, embezzle from the team. And then perhaps he could have Bud Selig go back to the future and parachute in and get him a television deal in which they can hide part of it from the divorce court discovery process so that the books don't have to get opened and they can get a sweetheart deal. The Dodgers are playing by different rules. It's not a matter of just go spend money to make money, Bob, or Cleveland Guardians dude, or who pick a name out of a hat. They are unable to physically manifest $300 million of payroll every year from their television contracts.
They don't even have $300 million worth of
story.
revenue, let alone making, a payroll that high. So, yeah.
What happened to the Cardinals? I thought the Cardinals had all that voodoo magic. They did the Cardinals way. And then what happened? Sportsnet St. Louis, or whatever the fuck it's called, gave them a haircut because they're losing money. And all of a sudden, dudes are getting traded left and right. And now they're in a tank.
And it didn't take very long for the best fans in baseball to stop showing up.
Correct. And so it's not about that the players are unwilling or the owners are unwilling. It's that they are unable. Unfortunately, Rob Manfred is like a pencil neck twerp, and I'd like to punch him in his punchable face because he's not my friend either. He's a fucking idiot of the highest order, but he is absolutely correct. And it's the meme from The Onion. The worst person that you know has made like a good point or whatever it is. This is it. And he's making that point. And I agree with him.
All right, there's a
And
bit
these New
more
York
to
people
this.
are brain dead.
We have to get to the part that John Boy is going to react to.
Oh, there's
willing
more.
and we argue unwilling, and I get it, but like the Pittsburgh Pirates just signed their first multi-year contract in years. It's hard to tell a fan base, I'll be honest with you, it's hard to tell a fan base that the Pittsburgh Pirates are incapable of competing at a higher level at that. Is there any way we can start incentivizing some of these teams to spend more?
Yeah, look, I think that the question of incentivization is a really important one. I think probably 3 other sports have dealt with it by having a rule. You got to spend, everybody talks about the cap piece. The cap piece comes with
And it may
another
come up.
piece
Right.
that where you have to spend. And I think, mandating a certain level of commitment in terms of spending in the right kind of economic system can be a good thing.
Yeah.
That brings us to the obvious question, the one I'm sure you've been.
So that's what
Again.
we're getting to there. He's speaking out loud that when ownership is going to enter this negotiation seeking a cap, that there will be a floor attached. As everybody who has any semblance of understanding of how all the other leagues have done this and how this always works has been saying over and over and over again, including us, there is a cap, there's a floor, and there is comprehensive revenue sharing to fund it for everybody. And that's how it always works. That's what he's saying.
Full stop. I don't understand how this guy has to talk to these guys at the fan. They cover the Giants and the Jets and the Rangers and the Islanders and the Nets and the Knicks. Those are salary cap leagues. Are you telling me these guys don't understand how those leagues work? Because
I think they don't need to think about it, because they stop thinking about like how the cap happens and how it works in terms of the mechanics of it. And they start thinking of it only in terms of, okay, how much cap space do the Jets have to add a quarterback? How much cap space do the Giants have to, sign an edge rusher? They don't even bother to think about it because they don't need to. And that's what you've been asking for. You want to not have that be the dominant conversation in the sport. You just want to think about like, how can my team get better so that I can have an interesting season coming up?
That's correct. That's what Manfred is talking about when he says, oh God, these people need media training. They need like an actual Yinzer up there to say, all I want to do is talk about my team the same way I talk about the fucking Steelers, of which I've never had to have a discussion with my friends about like where we keep our generationally good, Hall of Fame player X, Y, or Z, and we sign those players to long-term deals, and life moves on, and the earth spins, and so on and so forth. It's like only in baseball land do we have to have these like, well, there's an article about the Pirates spending $13 on Bucko bricks, and is that going to take away from a player or something? It's just ridiculous, and they seem to revel in the fact that they want to continuously have these conversations and live in this like world of like these bizarre economic philosophy questions that, just like Trevor May. He'd much rather talk about collusion than even open his mind up to what everybody else is doing. That's how fucking stupid they are. It's like, oh God, let's get to the John Boy part so I can hear these morons talk.
So that was the setup. And this is John Boy. This is, it's not John Boy Jimmy. This is on the John Boy Network. It's Talking Baseball. It is Trevor and Jake.
I don't know these people.
Trevor's a former player. That's Trevor Plouffe.
I remember him.
Jake Storiale is a co-founder of John Boy. And so these guys are the hosts of Talking Baseball. And this is them reacting to those comments of Manfred's.
All right.
Because at the end of the day, if you're an owner, you should have a zoomed out perspective of what is best for the league and this crazy asset you own and how's it going to be more valuable in 10 years. That I think being short-sighted on something of like needing a floor of, if we get the cap, we can potentially save more money that way. End of the day, the better the product your sport is, that's better for it. And some of these uncompetitive teams right now, like the Pittsburgh Pirates hype train that should be happening right now, instead of lumping them in this conversation, it's horrible for like a great sports town. That, we did the Cincinnati Reds and, they're in on Schwarber because he's from there. Okay. Be on other good players. Like, what are we doing? Unfortunately, that's probably where a lot of these negotiations are going to get caught up. And again, Sports Jake, my original AOL screen name. Like at first I was like, yeah, let's get a floor in there and make the cap massive, right? And then seeing what's happened, I'm not even on that. Like, it's just not going to happen.
So we're moving the goalposts now. It
Just,
used to be
again,
you can't
let's just-
have it. Let's not talk about caps. Let's talk about a floor. And now, oh, a floor is not good enough either. Let's not do a cap or a floor. Let's not do a cap and a floor. I'm out on all of it. Like, and to be clear, this guy Jake is a diehard Yankees fan. This company that they've built, John Boy, started as the Talkin' Yanks podcast. So they're just soaking in that big market stew. That's the only world they understand. And so they then bring it to let's make this the way that all of baseball thinks about things.
Correct. And it is not. It is not the way all of baseball thinks about things. And the reason, Jake, that the Pirates are lumped in with this discussion, and they're like everybody, again, this is like Paul Skeens' ego death throughout all of baseball. Everybody realizes he's a future Dodger, and they're all having a hard time coming to grips with it because they'd rather put their heads in the sand and ignore dealing with baseball economic issues and just doing the thing so Paul Skeens can retire a Pirate like TJ Watt or Paul Alomar or Sidney Crosby or Evgeny Malkin or name another player in the salary cap leagues. Like this whole moving, it's not the moving the goalpost. I expect Yankees fans to be oblivious, arrogant, like a true walking Dunning-Kruger effect was what this person is. And I expect them to be smelling their own farts constantly. That's who those people are. So the fact that he's right on point pleases me because I'm like, oh, good. Yankees fans have never changed. The young ones are just as arrogantly stupid as their forefathers were. God bless you. The fact that he is moving goalposts doesn't bother me. The fact that everybody in the baseball intelligentsia refuses to just be like, yo, I'd love to see Paul Skeens retire as a Pirate. Trevor Plouffe is like, me too. I would love that. Hey, they should just do what they did for hockey. Super cool that Sidney Crosby played his entire career as a Penguin. Trevor Plouffe. I think that's super cool too. Baseball could do that. End of rant. End of podcast. There's nothing else to talk about. Just do that thing. Do the thing. It's not hard.
Let's see what they think should be done.
And essentially, we have a soft cap already in the league with the competitive balance tax, which is a self-imposed tax that owners did to try to create. That was their thing, to create more parity. And I mean, that hasn't really worked at all.
Right.
And then now they're complaining about that.
It's worked for the owners.
It's very, they're complaining about it.
It's worked for
You
the
know, and
owners.
a lot of them use that as like I said, like a soft cap. So I think we need to get more creative. I think development is so key in our sport because
Okay,
we
that's
need to
true.
get creative, Crab. We need to get creative.
Oh,
we can't do the thing that every other league has done and has ironed out the particulars of and has made the mistakes and corrected them and done all of this over the decades. We need to get creative.
Okay, and what creative solutions did these two brainiacs propose?
I mean, I could keep playing it, but
No, please
They-
do.
okay, you're not going to hear any.
you basically can't draft your way out of anything. Like you have to be you got to do a great job. The organizations that win in this league, yes, there's some that can outspend, but like the Dodgers, like develop really, really well. People always they never mention that.
Right.
Okay,
They
the
mention it
reason why they
constantly.
develop. Yeah, they mention it constantly. Here's what happened, Brainiac. They went and hired the guy who was playing Elite Moneyball and gave him the biggest budget in baseball history. So everybody knows this. Trevor
Oh, and
Plouffe.
also, who have the Dodgers developed in the last decade?
Oh, they developed Shohei Ohtani.
Oh, wow. How could I forget him?
My bad. Mookie Betts. They developed Mookie Betts. Sorry.
Oh, snap. You're right. Oh, and Freddie Freeman. They developed
Yeah.
him.
They developed him, and I think they developed. Trying to think. Oh, the guy, the third baseman, Max Muncy.
They did
developed
fix
him.
Max Muncy 10 years
Yep.
ago.
Mhm. They
So
developed him.
the Dodgers are lauded as having this excellent farm system and very good development.
Kyle
but at the same
Tucker. They
time,
developed Kyle- didn't
they
they
developed Kyle Tucker, of course, and
Oh,
and Teoscar Hernandez. They developed
right.
him. No,
Oh,
but
yeah, they developed-
but in all seriousness, Like Will Smith is their one homegrown player that is of their core of stars.
Glass now. They developed Glass now, and they developed Snell. And I mean, the whole team is just a development
Yamamoto.
factory.
Yeah, keep going.
Yamamoto. Yeah.
Yeah,
Dude,
so,
I
so
mean,
the Dodgers 10 years
totally
ago, the
right.
Dodgers did have a lot of developmental successes. They had Cody Bellinger, they had Corey Seager, and you know, the tail end of that, Will Smith, and he's the one that's still there. The Dodgers having this developmental mastermind is like, that's mostly just Keith Law
Edwin
refusing
Diaz.
to let
They
go.
developed Edwin Diaz. I forgot about him. He was a development story.
Yeah, like lately the Dodgers are not developing anybody. They're just signing every single star they possibly can, and it's because, like you said, they play by a different set of rules. They get to keep more money than any other team does, including the Yankees. And
Well, I don't
they turn
understand
around and
why
spend it
the
on good
other-
players. So, I mean, wouldn't it be nice to be a Dodgers fan?
Again, why don't the other teams just move to Los Angeles and spend money to make money? Because if they were smart business people and they really cared, they would just go where the 20 million people are and leverage all those eyes and passive cable packages that pay for a product that they don't watch in a bundle that's dying, and just like suck the money from those people instead of doing it in Pittsburgh or something, because that's super dumb. So clearly they're, you know, stupid. They need to be doing that. What else we got?
We're going to go back to foul territory, this time to the mothership. And we've got Brent Rooker as a guest on foul territory with our favorite host, AJ Pierzynski and Eric Kratz.
Brent Rooker say something I'm going to hate, because I kind of like Brent Rooker and I don't have to hate him.
Unfortunately, Crab, your love affair with Brent Rooker is about to end.
Okay.
Here we
Sorry,
go.
Brent.
All right, Rook. So explain I fight this with fans and I fight this with people all the time. Salary cap. Salary caps. It's all you hear. Salary cap, salary cap, salary cap. And I always fight for the players. Listen, if salary caps are so great, why does the NBA, the NHL, the NFL have work stoppages too, right?
When was the last time they had one of those dipshit?
I stopped that knowing that you would
fucking
have something
idiots.
to say.
He looks like a thumb. He looks like, I can't stand this fucking dude. He was one of my most unfavorite players and the most unpleasant person to have to watch play baseball, AJ Pierzynski. Nobody liked him. When was the last time they had major work stoppages? The NFL hasn't had a work stoppage in 15 years, almost 20 years, 16 years. 2010 was the uncapped season, and that wasn't even a work stoppage. They fucking played it. So shut up there. 21 years ago, there was a lockout in the NHL that gave us the system that they have now. The NHLPA just re-upped that system without
For the second time.
For the
The
second
NHL
time.
has not negotiated a new collective bargaining agreement with its union in 3 cycles.
They just go all in favor, and the players are like, totally cool, we're cool, let's keep playing, because nobody wants to
Carry
stop.
it forward.
And the NBA, their players union just implemented a hard cap system in their last CBA without a work stoppage. They went from having whatever the hell they had before to having a hard cap system, which is, you have in the NBA, you have a soft cap. You can kind of float around the soft cap and pay a little tax. And then if you go into the tax enough times, you're hard capped. And that's the end of that. There's no fucking around. You can't just suddenly trade future draft picks for Giannis to go to Los Angeles, because that's what they put a stop to, all that nonsense. Is LA buying all the players from places like Milwaukee or Indianapolis. So AJ, why am I talking to AJ Pierzynski? He's
If salary
terrible.
cap is wonderful, the cure-all, why do the Kansas City Chiefs go to like every Super Bowl? They're like, oh, it'll help parity, right?
Because they have the best
Patriots won all
player
those
on the
Super Bowls.
field,
The
you
Chiefs win the Super
dipshit.
Bowl every year. So can
They
you
have
give us the
Patrick
players'
Mahomes.
thoughts? You don't have to give the thought on this cap, but just when you talk to other players, some thoughts that they're talking about.
Yeah, I mean, I think you just hit on some major points, right? It's not like a salary cap inherently offers this parity, inherently levels the playing field, because you look at the NFL and the NBA and you name, I mean, the Patriots did their thing, went on their run. The Chiefs did the same thing. You look at the NBA, the Warriors.
Stop it here. This is the most this is Fox News is what this is. This is disingenuous crap. They know that if Trevor Plouffe just got done telling us it's a developmental league and it's not like the other sports because we have to develop and you can't just draft your way out of it. Then why do they use these other examples for this argument? Because in the NFL, it is a draft and drafting league. You can draft your way out of this thing. Alex Smith, he got the boot. He got kicked out of the quarterback spot in Kansas City as soon as they realized, holy shit, this guy is a real deal. The reason why Kansas City had all that success is because they have the best quarterback in the league. It's a quarterback league, you idiot. You know this. Trevor
And how is it
AJ
that the-
Brzezinski knows this.
How is it that the same market that hosts the Kansas City Royals is able to afford to pay Patrick Mahomes?
What does Patrick Mahomes make per year?
Oh
Go
God, I don't
Google
know NFL contracts, but I know he
It's
has
a
one of the
lot.
largest contracts
It's
in the
huge.
NFL, and a lot of it is guaranteed, which isn't the thing
Correct.
in the NFL necessarily, but his
Right.
is.
Yeah, this is such a terrible argument, and this smug asshole. He's like, oh, I'm ready for my talking points. Yeah. Nobody's asking the salary cap to give me parity. I don't expect parity with a salary cap.
I'm going to push
I
back on that.
expect.
Here's the problem. When Manfred, like we didn't see it in the clip earlier, but the ownership PR line has been about parity. And because the owners know that they can't just come out and try and persuade the public with an argument of, we would really like to get richer because our franchise values are not going up fast enough for us. We need them to go up much, much faster like the NBA does and now like the NHL is starting to do. So we would really appreciate if you would bear with us through this work stoppage so that we can enrich ourselves through franchise values. What they do is they come out and say, parity. We need spending parity so that we can ultimately land on parity on the field. So it's not like the argument isn't happening from the ownership side of baseball. They're using it as a canard, I think. And these guys are reacting to it. But to your point, it's bullshit.
What just happened in the NFL like last couple weeks?
Free agency, right?
Yeah, free agency. Pretty fucking crazy, huh? And what happened? We'll use our beloved Pittsburgh Steelers for an example. Can we pivot to some Steelers talk real quick? Make my point?
Go for it.
Biggest additions was Michael Pittman, Jameel Dean, cornerback, Rico Dowdle, running back. Okay, cool. That's really great. I like it. Let's look at the Cleveland Browns. They added some players. Look, it seems like a lot of players are moving around this league. A lot of contracts, a lot of money being handed out. This is crazy.
How'd the
It's almost
Browns
like-
manage to add free agents when they have those giant albatross contracts for their quarterback?
Well, the cap went up because revenues are up. That's wild. But
Mm.
that's one facet of the argument. The other thing is, it's almost like, I don't know what the word I'm looking for here is, OG, but like, what happens when everybody gets a chance to do the same thing together and they all have like an equal chance at the same time? I can't think of the word. I think it might be parity. Is it parity the word I'm talking? So in NFL free agency, there's parity. And when free agents are moving around and the well is replenished and hopes are replenished because hope springs eternal. Oh, got some new players. The Browns got some new players. Everybody's getting new players. Look
And
at
as we
this.
have pointed out in the past, just because there's parity in team building and parity in terms of the opportunities of all of these different markets in these other sports to go out and acquire players that are going to be good, that doesn't mean that the Browns are going to be good. The
Or the
Browns are
Jets.
still the Browns. There
Or the
is always
Jets.
going to be terrible teams, even in cap leagues.
Or the
and
Raiders.
We've acknowledged this. We've even
acknowledged it.
predicted that the Pirates would be one of them.
Pirates would
That's
be
not
like
the
the
point.
Raiders. That's not the point. The point is, when Manfred says parity in the first clip, and he's talking about fans saying we don't have a chance, what he's talking about, I think, is a little bit more nuanced than what these morons are picking up on. The argument is that the fans know that we don't have a chance to get any free agents. We're never in the conversation. we're never able to have these like moments of like, wow, we got, you know, a new running back, we got like a top flight corner in the free agent market. Like, this is cool. This is awesome. That's the parity that fans equate, and that they will then reinvest emotionally in. And these players, Mr. Brzezinski, Mr. Rooker, you need my money. You need it. It's not a debate. It's not an esoteric philosophical point. Without me emotionally invested in your product, you don't eat. You need me to take my kids, to waste my time on this earth, and my money, which is a representation of my time on this earth, and everybody who came before me, and all of the labor that we used over generations to build wealth. Generationally, you need it. You need to suck it out of me. So respectfully, I don't have to play the game to tell you to go get fucked. Kiss my fucking ass. Okay? You're wrong. I am your customer base. I am telling you, I would like Hope, please. I would like a free agent too. It would be cool to get one. That's not, you know, God love Ryan O'Hearn. I'm not picking on Ryan O'Hearn, but like, real players coming here would be really nice. And it would be nice to have a puncher's chance at getting some of them. And that's the parity we're talking about. Not that we expect to win every year and that suddenly, you know, we're going to get a Royals Pirates World Series in year one of the salary cap regime.
Warriors dominated for so many years, and those are in two leagues with caps, right? So it's not like you just install a cap and, oh, all of a sudden now the playing field is level. Now there's going to be a different World Series winner every year. There's going to be different teams in the playoffs every year. That's not how it works. It's a way for owners to increase their leverage, and it does exactly what it says it's going to do. It decreases salaries. It doesn't offer any answers to the questions and the issues that exist in the league. And I think it's kind of seen as this, like you said, this fix-all thing that, oh, you just install a salary cap and all the problems are done. They're solved. And that couldn't be further from the truth on a number of different levels.
I want to pick at one thing there, and this is something that I don't have clips of it, but I've seen on multiple occasions. Rooker's been out there. He seems to have taken on a spokesperson role in the union because he's doing these media hits quite a bit, and the idea keeps coming out that the only effect that a cap system has for players is it suppresses their earnings. And this is for a union where 2/3 of its body are making league minimum any given season, and even fewer of them make it to arbitration. Fewer still make it to free agency. And that is the structure that they are so dead set on keeping. And you can compare that if you bother to look around. If you look at the NHL makes about a little more than half the revenue the baseball makes. The roster sizes are roughly the same. The number of games in the season is half. The arenas are roughly half the size of baseball stadiums. So you've basically got a 1/2 scale replica of baseball in the NHL. And in the NHL, the rookies make more than what minimum salary is in baseball. Baseball makes twice as much money. And the rookies in the NHL make more money, and they reach free agency after 3 years?
Sorry, I was on mute. I believe you're correct. Yeah. I think there is like a system where it's like a unrestricted free agent system, and you have the opportunity to match and so on and so forth. I was just looking at the list of Stanley Cup winners in the last 10 years.
Is there any parity in the NHL, or is it the same team winning every year?
I mean, since 2016, the Penguins won twice, the Capitals won in 18, the Blues won in 19, the Lightning won in 20 and 21, and 22 the Avalanche won, in 23 the Golden Knights won, and 24 and 25 the Panthers won. So yeah, little mini runs of teams, and that kind of stuff is to be expected in a salary cap system, I think, because that's,
because teams can afford to keep their stars.
And those teams that have won in those years, and we can go back even further to like the Blackhawks run and like a couple years before that, those teams all had the best players in the league at one point in time, or some amalgamation of the best or the best players. Like the Avalanche and the Panthers didn't have like the best player per se, but they had really well constructed rosters. But like you could look at the Lightning, the Penguins and the Capitals of having like the best player on their team at the time. And how is it possible that they were able to keep those players? I don't understand, right? It's this thing that these assholes are railing against. So, your stars are still going to get paid in a salary cap system. Patrick Mahomes is a star and he gets paid. These guys seem to be content. What's funny? It just occurred to me while you were talking. I was thinking about what you were saying. I was listening.
Thank you.
I do. You're welcome. I always listen to you, OG. You have interesting things to say. Do you remember in Ken Burns' documentary that we've all watched? There's like some snippet where somebody says like baseball is like a mirror of America, and whatever happens in America at the time, it's like happening in baseball, whether it was like segregation and then desegregation, or like technology and changing the game. And how this strikes me as very similar to the current economic state in America right now. We have a bunch of people who are tending to revel in the status quo because they themselves ignore the fact that they may never make their metaphorical arbitration, and they will never make metaphorical free agency, and somehow think that, I don't want to get taxed because I might one day become a billionaire, right? Or a millionaire. A lot of the players' union mimics this, and baseball itself seems to mimic this American, mentality that we are currently experiencing right now.
Temporarily embarrassed Juan Soto's.
Yeah, we're all. That's exactly right. That's exactly what my point is. These guys are all temporarily embarrassed Juan Soto's, and just wait, you see. I too will become a $700 million player. That's why I have to fight for this system. Instead of realizing I could become, one of these random free agents that I could go find a list of random NFL free agents. They're all going to get paid a lot of money right now, or some third defenseman pairing in the NHL who's getting paid more than Paul Skeens right now. They would rather, to quote the children, dick ride on Bryce Harper fighting the commissioner than have to confront the economic realities of the system that they're in. And they opt for the dick riding. It's pathetic.
I've got one more clip to share, and we're going to circle back to where we started. It's Trevor May again.
He's awful.
This time, he is reacting to the news that came later on in the winter when Cody Bellinger re-signed with the Yankees. And he's going to lay out a bunch of his ideas for what a cap in baseball could look like if he were in charge. And honestly, some of them aren't completely out to lunch, but one of them really, really is. And so let's get into it.
Okay. There was another piece of news that I would be remiss if I didn't cover, and you know me, I got to get into this stuff. But there was an article released last night by our boy Evan Drellick over at The Athletic. MLB owners enraged by Kyle Tucker deal will push for salary cap no matter what. There was actually a quote from a person that has been briefed on the situation, and this is what the quote from the article said. Credit to Evan for writing the article. Major League Baseball owners are, quote unquote, raging in the wake of Kyle Tucker's free agency agreement with the Los Angeles Dodgers. And it's now in quotations, this is a direct quote, a 100% certainty that the owners will push for a salary cap. One person briefed on ownership conversations who was not authorized to speak publicly told The Athletic. So he spoke publicly. What that means is it was leaked. So these guys are going to go for no cap no matter what it takes, the source said. So this could mean a lot. I've gotten asked the question so many times, how likely is it that a lockout happens because of this deal? And I was always hesitant to kind of go one way or the other. It's a complicated situation. I didn't want to get ahead of my skis. But this is an interesting situation now if we take this at face value. It could be posturing. It could have been thrown out there just to get fans a little bit more up in arms, because at the end of the day, and we say this over and over again, I'm going to keep saying it, this is a battle of sentiment. The fans feel a certain way. The teams are going to hammer the thing that makes you the most mad, and players are going to try to make you mad at the owners. Like,
all right, I disagree with that. This whole battle of sentiment thing, and we argue with our pals in the chat a lot about this stuff. I don't think fan sentiment matters all that much. When the rubber meets the road, this is a labor negotiation between management and labor. There isn't a third party at the table that is tipping the scale one way or the other. I don't really think that the fan sentiment is going to be like, if you guys take away my season and I don't get anything better out the other side of it, or probably most fans are going to be like, if you take away my season, I'm just going to hate it. I might walk away from baseball.
Yeah, and that never happens.
I don't. Yeah, very,
even
very,
in the
very
90s,
little of those threats
right.
come to pass. But the point is, fans are not a bargaining party in
They
these
they only
negotiations.
are if they line up with one of the party's preferred agenda items. In this case, we are now like, the fans want parity. Rob Manfred out there fighting for the fans. Salary caps for all. News at 11. It's
And
like
you made the earlier point about, like, you know, broadly speaking, without any fans and their money, these leagues don't exist. But I mean, one person deciding to not watch a sport isn't going to put them out of business. It needs to be
that's not
literally
the point I'm
everybody
making.
and
That
to
wasn't
stick
the
that
point.
way.
Right. And my point is that, like, well, in this particular point that you're making, you know, the fans are going to get mentioned a bit because Manfred's agenda and the owner's agendas line up with the fans at this point. In 94, they didn't. You know, salary cap is brand new in the NFL, so people weren't as attuned to these types of things as they are now. We've had 30 years of people, you know, and seeing the growth of the NFL. So now everybody knows what this is, and they're like, I want that in baseball. So that lines directly up with what the owners want to do. So right now, we're at the table in that way. It's not a real way, and to you're absolutely correct. They like don't give a shit about what we think. They just want our money. Give me your money, Crab and OG, and get the fuck out of here and go back to your measly little lives. Work your asses off to make us rich. So these guys and the players are like, we want to play a kids game because we have no skills. Most of us are brain dead, and we can hit balls with bats. And owners are like, I'm rich. We own the world. Give us more money. That's as far as we go in these arguments.
Let's hear what Trevor's pitch for the features of a cap would be.
that is how this works, because you guys matter, because this is for you, because it's entertainment and you are the ones being entertained. Like, if you aren't happy with the product, none of it matters. Like, fighting over money doesn't matter because the money will go away. So, like, we got to listen to you. Listening to the fans is very important. And there's been a couple problems with the way the game is put together, at least teams are put together, that the fans are not happy with. So
this fan hates your guts.
What I want to do
that down?
is give you a little bit of context on how the economics have actually changed, because I've done a little bit more research into it. But first, there's a real quick correction I want to make. Last week I said that the CBT money, the basically money over the luxury tax, competitive balance tax money, goes to like the teams for salary, for paying their payroll. That isn't directly what.
I want to give him props for this. He actually
He's trying.
He's correcting an earlier inaccuracy where he claimed that the luxury tax is handed over to teams like the Pirates and then they just pocket it. And that is not how the luxury tax works. And he's clarifying that. So props to Trevor for correcting his earlier mistake.
Happens. Some of the teams do receive the money. It's actually for player benefits. We're talking pensions, all that kind of stuff, and also operations of the league and team operations. So like, it's not earmarked specifically for that. That's what I said. that like the teams get that on top of revenue sharing. That's not entirely true. So I just want to
You
make
think
that
you would know that,
clarification.
Trevor. You
Revenue
actually were in the
sharing
union.
does have to be used for payroll, and there is a mechanic put into the CBA that says you have to use your revenue sharing to improve your team, not go to payroll, improve your
okay.
team.
There is-
so
that's
instead of
accurate.
giving it to, I don't know, the talent on the field, it's more like we bought a bunch of slow-mo cameras and we're like upgrading stadiums.
We've
and
talked
stuff,
about that.
And
Okay,
trying
all right,
to
he's
avoid
getting
it that
it.
way because you get tax
He's
credits
getting
and stuff that
crap
way.
pilled,
So
no
there was
G-pilled.
actually, and then there's supposed to be a mechanic that you have to do it so you can file a grievance. There's been one grievance filed. It was against the 4 teams that you would assume it's against. I believe the Athletics, the Pirates, the Marlins, and the Rockies. And those 4 teams have had a grievance out for 8 years since 2018, and has not been, nothing's happened. So that's
Correct.
That's how
Because there's
that's
no
how
case
well that
in the
thing's
courts.
enforced. So just so
It's
you guys
not
know
about
that.
that.
I don't know
There's
if I
no
ever told you
case.
that. Okay.
There's no
now we've got
teeth
that
to
covered.
that.
One thing you need to know: the competitive balance tax, the luxury tax, exists for a very specific reason. It was supposed to be a soft cap, but in reality, there are 2 groups of owners, and there always have been. There's the wealthy ones that just spend, and there's the ones that don't, and are in smaller markets. They don't spend for myriad reasons, right? So
Mainly because they just
Because
don't
they
have
don't
the revenue.
They don't have the television deals to spend, you dumbass.
It's
Like,
a,
how
it's
many
a
times
factor
you
of
have to say
revenue.
this?
Like,
Yes.
it's always being characterized as a want to thing. And it's just the revenue. Now, there might be some miserliness happening. We would know about that. But lately, as far as I can tell, from whatever tea leaves I can read, and we've been over this, they're spending what they got. And they don't got much.
I don't know how else to say it. Like, the reality of the world dictates the reality we live in. This idealism.
what the tax is supposed to do is create a cap where the richest teams have to think about spending. So it does slow them down like slightly more than there would be if there was nothing. And then what it does for the smaller markets is, and it's a built-in excuse to not have to spend that much money. So that's why
No,
they both were
that's
like,
wrong.
okay, this is
That's no.
wrong. The first one is kind of correct. This
Yes.
iffy.
The first
Iffy.
one is correct. The second
Yeah.
one, like the luxury tax has absolutely zero bearing at all on the thinking of like probably 60% of major league clubs. Like
I would agree with that.
if,
Yeah,
if
there's
you're
no-
not spending,
They don't have
like,
the money.
they-
They can't
yeah,
just
they-
materialize it.
like the Pirates would need to double their revenue to even think about approaching the first threshold of the competitive balance.
And how would
tax.
they do that with the current system? They'd have to. You and I would have to be buying $100 hot dogs and $75 Iron City beers in order to make that happen.
And there would need to be many, many more of us doing the same thing, which, as we've discussed,
Doesn't happen.
hasn't ever really
Never happened.
in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, it never
compromise.
happens.
We can cap you guys so to slow you down a little bit, but also it gives us a reason to keep doing what we're doing. So everyone's happy. Now the economics of the game have changed, and now those teams who are just raking in the RSN, the regional TV deals, those are going away, and they are
Correct.
only seeing one way to make money, and that is through franchise values. And we need franchise values
Okay,
to go
stop.
up. And the best way.
Stop.
Yes.
They always existed. The franchise values existed before RSNs, and it will exist after RSNs.
And-
like, what
and-
does that mean?
And, well, so he's very, very close to grokking it, right? And this we've talked about
Grokking
this.
it? I don't. Is this a?
No, that
what
is a
that?
no. Before it was turned into an AI engine for making kiddie porn. It was a word that the tech community used to describe understanding something, like a eureka
Oh.
moment.
Okay, I
It's
see.
jargony. I work in IT, and I'm not going to let Elon Musk take my words away.
Good for you. Fight the power, man.
Anyhow, he's not too far off there. What was he talking about?
Franchise valuations.
Franchise values, right. So we've talked about franchise values and how that is the real engine of what they care about. We talked about it in our episodes
But
where
that's
we
not how they make money in lieu of. That's how they make money when they sell in 50
that's-
years or 30 years. That's not liquid now.
And no, it isn't liquid now, but as they're thinking about like their long-term strategic plans
Yes, but the
make
players
the
use this
franchise
word.
go up. The players misunderstand. Yes, you're
Correct.
right. But
They
and he's gonna
misunderstand
this is where he's gonna get really wrong. But what he's right about is franchise values are the linchpin for decision making by the owners. They're not. And the whole
Yes,
like the
of course.
RSN money going away just means they have less to spend on players because it's operational revenue and it gets turned into operational spending. The franchise values stagnate because now they can't do that because the revenue went away. And so he's right about that, but then he's wrong about something else.
To do that is through a salary cap, and that is why we are getting this comment. It is less about the Dodgers hemorrhaging money to players. It's less about that. It's more about
The Dodgers
this
aren't
is a
hemorrhaging
great
anything.
opportunity to push really hard for the salary cap because there's never a better time for fans to get behind us for it. Which, if you are a fan, you probably agree. So let's talk hypotheticals. Let's say 20 teams, and I have a proposal. How I think, what I think a proposal would be from the players to the teams that would help, that would solve the team's problem, the players' problems, and the fans
Get
benefits
to
as
the
well.
point.
And I
Let's
want to
hear it.
explain it to you.
Let's hear it.
So no one does this, and I want to do it really quickly before we move on to more of the news. Okay,
He's right. No one does this.
It seems to me, with this coming
But
from the smaller markets, that kind of agreement between the big teams and small teams is fractured a little bit, and they're not on the same page. They might be. They probably aren't, because the Dodgers probably don't want a cap because they have an advantage right now, right?
They don't.
So-
They want a cap. Period.
Yes.
Full stop. They want the cap, you fucking idiot. They all want to pay less money to labor. What is so different? Oh, I hate
So
this part of this argument so bad.
this is a player making the mistake of thinking that ownership thinks about baseball the way that players do. That they always
Or the
want
fans
they
do.
always want to win on the field, or the way that
They
fans do. They always want to win on the field.
They do only if it meets the agenda items of making the franchise worth billions more.
Yeah,
so
they're
that I
not
can
going to jeopardize the bedrock of what they're there for to win. They're not going to mortgage everything and then turn around and hand that all out in contracts and bankrupt the club to win on the field. They'll win as a bonus if they can pull it off, right? Unless like they're dying like Peter Seidler, who ultimately did.
If there's a fracture, that means there's leverage, all right? So let's assume that every small market team is telling the truth and they are losing money and some of them are in trouble of going bankrupt. Let's just assume that's true. Okay?
Good.
It is true. I can
Because it
read the
is.
news, you dumbass. I can read the news. When the RSNs are fucking going bankrupt in real time. They have to go in front of a courts and talk about their bankruptcies. And it's
He's so close, right? He's so close.
dumb.
He's so close. He's really, really on the doorstep of getting it. He's so close. He's still framing it as this like, oh, they're full of shit and they're lying to you, but let's just give it to them that what they're saying is true. Like, no, like the revenue is all drying up. And so that's why teams are scaling back on payroll. There is a direct correlation. It's money in turns into money out. If the money in goes away, the money out goes away. It's very simple.
It might be, it probably is. Nothing's ever fully false, so it's probably true. And the only way that their business can be viable is if they can increase their franchise value by predicting their costs every single year. Let's assume that is true.
Good, because it is.
I can't
And both
believe
sides see no way forward unless there is a cap put in place. There has to be one. That's the assumption. This is a hypothetical situation. It has to happen. I'm not saying there should be. I'm saying in this hypothetical situation, everyone involved has decided that it has to. And so they're
I'm
gonna play
proud of
ball.
him for undertaking
Here's what
this
I think
exercise.
the Players Association should push
Yes.
for or
Tell
ask
us.
for.
That
They should
one
ask
brain
for
cell is working
shorten
hard.
free agency to 4 years. When you come up, so you get 4 years of control, or age 27 season, and you become a free agent no matter what.
Okay, I'm on board. Let's go.
That is such
That's
a
cool.
small like
There we go.
like
Yeah.
he's revealing how very little it would actually take to get them on board with a cap system. Like this
Was
is
he
just
playing in 2021?
yeah. I think he
So-
retired in like 22 or 23.
Okay, so theoretically, one of the union guys would have told him like, "This is what we're talking about," and he's a rank and file guy. He would have been like, "That's what I want." So there's probably a kernel of truth in here somewhere about what the players feel.
And he's talked about this a number of times in this exact point where like just shortening the years of control to not even half, like not even to the level that the NHL has, which is what they really should be after. Like, here's the thing. If the owners get their cap, all of those service time arguments are immediately moot. They don't matter at all because now everybody can afford to keep the guys they want to keep, and then they can let the other guys go and go be free agents, and maybe somebody else wants to sign them. And so like the stuff, like the players have spent so long hating the system that they live under while also saying, but no, don't change it.
Sounds like the
he's
average
very,
American to
very
me.
close to.
Sounds like an average voter, quite frankly.
Yeah, well, he's so close. He's so
It's
close.
the opportunity to have multiple free agency years or opportunities at free agency. There's only 2 ARB years either way. Or sorry.
No, ARB
Yes.
goes away, man. Get rid of
years
it.
are ARB. So there's still pre-ARB. It's 2
There's no
years, 2
point to
years, or
ARB
if there's 5 years
when
it's
there's a
3
cap.
too. So
Get rid
there's
of it.
ARB. Clear revenue split that's more than 50% no matter what. So if the cap were associated with revenue share, last year it would have been 200 million to 220 million probably, somewhere in that.
You're getting 50%.
It's usually codified in every other CBA, and it's not codified in baseball. And if the players would trade,
He's asking for more than 50. And like, I think there
They're
was
not gonna- they're
a
probably
brief
not
period
gonna
of time
get
where
that.
like, maybe the NHL had that and then it led to a second lockout, but they all land around 50%.
Correct. And I think that baseball would be happy to get, if they got 50% of the pie codified, and that'd be great for them.
Yeah. So again, he's so close. He's right there. He's right there.
That would have been the
Good
cap.
job, one brain
So
cell.
there's a
Trevor
revenue
May.
split. That's what it needs to be. It needs to be somewhere around there. That's what cap would be if it were attached to revenue, which I don't think they should do.
Why
The
not?
floor
what?
needs to be
What?
90% of the cap.
Yes.
Previously, it was offered
Yes.
like a 180.
Okay. We're back on the
top
good
end,
side.
which is a joke. That is less than 50% of revenues, so it needs to be higher than that. Then they offered like a 110 floor. They have mentioned they like how the other sports work. The other sports are 90%. You get 90%. That's
Yes, that's
Okay,
right.
let's do-
He's right.
we want
The
that.
stuff that was reported was terrible. We've said so, and he's also right that the floor needs to be close to the cap. Yes,
That's
keep
correct.
going.
how it works.
Yes.
So instead of this 180, 110, it's going to be 200 and 190 playa.
Yep.
Or sorry,
Nailed
180. It's got to be that. You got to offer that.
Okay,
That's 3.
we're getting close.
220,
As
190,
the
something
cap
like that.
goes up, so does the pre-ARB pool. That pool that where you pay the
There's
bet,
no
like rookie of the
pre-ARB
year to
pool.
make more
There's
money.
no
Money
arbitration.
before
All of
ARB.
that. These are all artifacts of the Byzantine ways that you try to avoid having a cap in the past. Throw all of it away. Throw away arbitration. Throw away the reserve clause. Throw away all of the manipulations and the ways that all the stuff you hate. Get rid of all of it. Just get to free agency. Let there be lots of free agency. Let guys like test the market every 2 years if they want to, or they can sign a long-term deal if they want to. Like,
That was
that's
originally
what we
Marvin
want.
Miller's pitch in 1968 or whatever. I mean, it was radical, and all of this arbitration and 6 years of control is all a vestige of like the system that came before Marvin Miller.
The irony
So-
is too much.
I just wish they
Tracing
would
to the
like
young
you said,
guys,
get rid of it.
that escalates with the cap, goes along with it. 5, if you re-sign a player that it was already on your team, that spent all the years in your team, and then becomes a free agent, and you re-sign them, you get a bonus similar to the way the qualifying offer works. You get a new draft pick or
Okay,
some
whatever.
other interesting mechanic.
I
that
don't
gives
think
a
you
little
need
bit of
more
advantage, maybe
sweeteners.
more
Just
money
get
to
to
work
free
with, maybe a
agency
little bit of
sooner.
a higher revenue split, whatever it is that
Deposit.
year. But that
That's an NBA thing. That's the bird system. So
Okay.
you in the NBA you have a sweetener deal. You can get a higher max contract. Like there's in the NBA, their contracts are a little bit more like if you're a first team NBA guy with X amount of years, you get X amount of money.
I mean, I'm not
Doesn't
against
matter.
incentives to keep homegrown stars. We like our homegrown stars, especially
right,
in
but, like,
Pittsburgh.
in that system, if you meet all those qualifications and you have your bird rights with that team, you get a bigger max deal. So,
This
that's
is all
good for-
great stuff.
That's stuff we want.
He is telling us, like he's being very candid here, and I wonder how much other players agree with this if they're speaking, off the record. he's going on the record with it, which, you know, I appreciate the
And he's
candor,
a
but
former player, so it's like when a guy gets out of elected office and they were like, "Oh, I would love to do all these cool things." You're like, "Bro, you were actually there. Why didn't you do it? What are you talking about?" It's the same like
benefits
mentality.
The fans. I want to see the fans get that, where you get to keep your stars and it's incentivized to do so. There could
Okay,
be a
great.
minimum star contract, kind of like the franchise tag, where there's a minimum amount of years you give to a certain number of players on your team.
he's
so that
looking
there's
around at the
protection
other
there.
leagues and he's
Number
seeing
7,
ideas.
certain
This
restrictions
is
and deferrals
growth.
to dodge caps. You can't use deferred money to dodge the cap. It has to count somewhere or the other, and there has to be penalties for doing so. Deferments are a big issue. So that needs to
they
be taken
already
care of.
have
And then the
deferments
last one
accounted
is
for.
the cap
Net
isn't a
present
function of
value.
revenue, it's a function of franchise values.
Okay, stop.
Oh.
All right, he went completely off the rails. This
Wrong.
is the
That's
one.
dumb.
This is the one.
That's so
okay,
dumb.
just so that everybody out there, if I interrupted him too quickly with my outburst, he is suggesting that instead of indexing the salary cap and floor to league revenues, that it should be indexed to franchise values. Crab,
Which are
let
on
me
paper
ask
and they
you,
don't exist. They're not real until they're real.
when is a franchise value actually crystallized? When does that occur?
When somebody buys your team.
How often do teams change hands?
I mean, I don't have the exact numbers, but my powerful 2-cell brain, it would indicate to me that not often. Doesn't happen
And
often.
if the teams don't change hands all that often, and you want to index your pay scale to what teams are worth, how do you know what they're worth and who gets to decide that?
Here's another question I'm just thinking of. If I buy the Rays for $1.7 billion and Stu Sternberg gets $1.7 billion, then why would that have anything to do with the indexing of what I pay my players in the field? Because now I'm an owner who all of my costs went up and I have less money because I just went into debt to buy this team. Like that makes even less sense. It makes zero sense.
Let me
You
let him
would
finish
want-
his thought, and then I've got lots to say.
Does that make
If
sense?
the franchise value goes up, so does the cap, because as an asset appreciates, I think everyone involved in making that asset appreciate, the players and everyone else involved, should also see some of that benefit as well. That is probably going to be the sticking point. If that needs to happen, players need to go, okay, flip the switch and say, here's what we want. What do you got?
Okay.
So he wants. So wait,
Okay.
let me just
So-
clarify. He
go ahead.
wants the buyer of. So we'll use the Rays for an example. He wants Stu Sternberg to kick back some of the cash that he got from the transaction of the sale of the Rays to the players. Is that what he's trying to argue? Is what he's saying?
No, I don't think I don't think he has this.
Because I have no idea how.
I don't think he's not
all.
he doesn't understand what we've just poked a hole in, and he can't hear us right now, so he can't
It's just
respond.
the money that the franchise values are not liquid assets.
No, they're not, and that's why that is a nonsensical suggestion. And I think the reason that I'm so interested in it is I think it gives a window into one of the other concerns. He doesn't say it here, but he sort of is like dancing around it. There is this constant discussion about how the owners are so adept at hiding their revenue, and the Hollywood accounting argument, and how the players, like, they won't open the books, they'll never open the books. Like,
But the union sees the
the
books.
union does see the books, yes. And that's the thing, is like, even the members of the union, like, living their life under the collective bargaining agreement that guarantees them as the union the right to see all of the financial statements of all 30 clubs and have them be audited by a third party that the union chooses, that is in the CBA. So yes, they get to see the books and they get to scrutinize them and audit them and challenge them and all of those things. It's in the CBA. It has been for years. It's already there. But these guys have this irrational fear of fancy accountants swooping in to make it look like that the team didn't make enough money to pay them. It's as if they're getting profit sharing instead of revenue sharing. That's why, to tie it back into the Hollywood thing, if you're an A-list actor and you want to get the best deal to get paid on a movie, you don't want a cut of the net. You want a cut of the gross. And when we talk about a revenue split in any of these cap leagues, it's a cut of the gross going to the union. That 50% is out of gross revenues. That's before the teams pay for their operating expenses and taxes and depreciation and amortization, all those other things. All that fancy accounting takes place after they index the cap to gross revenue. And these guys don't seem to get that. They seem to conflate the concept of
Because they're
profits and
stupid.
revenue.
God love them. They're stupid.
And to the point where they want to say, so we're worried that you're going to manipulate the books and make it look like your revenues are smaller so that you won't pay us. But we're also willing to let, I don't know, Sportico or like some other, outfit on the internet who just makes
Forbes?
guesses, Forbes. Yeah.
They just
like
make shit up.
just
They don't
making
know.
stuff
The
up
union
as to
knows.
what the value of these things are. So you see one franchise gets sold and then all of the other ones have their estimated value adjusted because that's as close as we can come. They don't change hands often enough. So that suggestion is ridiculous and bad. It should
would be
not be franchise value. It should be revenue. And like this whole idea about like hidden money and they're manipulating it. Like, no, it's the gross, man. You're getting it off the top, not the bottom.
I wish Trevor would watch this because I would posit this to Trevor, and I would posit this to any middle-class person who owns a home who's listening to this show. Imagine if this entire argument was like, hey, you want to take out a home equity line of credit to fix your kitchen? Well, what we're going to do instead of looking at what your house is currently worth, we're going to take a like a statistic snapshot of your entire zip code and average it out over time, and then ask one of your neighbors or take it out of your neighbor's house or something.
Or worse,
in order to index it
would
for
be,
you.
because that
It
is
makes no
actually what they
sense.
do. When you get an appraisal, that's exactly what they do, and the
I get that
appraisal
point,
feeds
but
into the
like,
loan. Here's what you
get
don't
that's
want to
not the
have
point I
happen
make.
when you're getting that home equity loan. You don't want it to be based on what the property value of your homestead, like homestead adjusted property value that keeps your property taxes low. Like, you don't want that to be your home value. You want your home value to be what it would probably fetch on the market. So comps and all those other things, yeah, sure. But like your point is like, let's tie this into something people understand, like their mortgage. And
well, my point is it has to be like, you can't just say like, we're just going to tie the entire league to the franchise valuations in this way.
Yeah,
that's this esoteric non-liquid
there's
way.
no way to know what it's
There's-
worth if it didn't just sell, and they don't sell
Correct.
often enough.
So
Revenue,
imagine
on the other
in
hand,
my neighborhood, I'm trying to take out a loan by his system, and nobody has sold their houses recently, so everything is skewed, and therefore I have less money or over. It doesn't. It just it again.
revenue
this
is
goes
tracked
back-
to the penny every year, and it can be audited and is audited, and they already have the right to do it. So I'm not sure like what I think
goes
it's
back
just
to
a
what I was saying
window
earlier.
into like there's so much mistrust, and they're just expecting to get screwed 6 ways to Sunday, and that's fair. That's an earned reputation with baseball owners, but they should also take stock of what they already have access to. And the rest of his proposals, that's dead on. He's not that far away from what would be a very viable system that sounds like, at least for that one former player, he would see all those things as a win. He was listing that stuff out as like, oh, they'll never do this. It's like, no, dude, you're not asking for enough.
Men will literally spend 2 decades trying to colonize Mars instead of going to therapy. Men will literally create an anonymous Twitter account to overanalyze monetary policy instead of going to therapy. Men will literally make a list of masculine presidents instead of going to therapy. Baseball players will literally argue for collusion and for non-realistic ways to index your revenue rather than just do a salary cap like the NFL.
We're clowning it, but like I really do like this is probably one of the only times I've ever seen somebody from like the baseball brain end of the spectrum saying something cogent. Like he's really, really close to making just do this, like by
Just
fiat.
do the thing the other guys did. It's real simple.
Yeah.
It's really simple. End of story. I mean, now he's making me do the same thing in order to fight fire with fire. When it's like, just go and, you know, in hockey, for example, like all hockey related revenue goes into a bucket. Full stop. Travis Williams, and they cut it 50%.
Yeah.
And 50% of that goes to the players, and 50% goes to the teams.
And they spread it
hockey-related
around.
revenue-
You know, so that
right.
everybody has enough to now. Funny you should mention it. The
But
NHL
hockey-related
is,
revenue is like T-shirts sold at Civic Arena. That's dating me. Here, I got my Civic Arena shirt on.
Hey, I love it.
T-shirt, like, you know, that includes stuff like the parking lot fees, not for Monster Jam.
No,
but
that
for a
stuff's
Penguins game.
negotiated. Yeah, and
Yeah,
like,
but
like
this is what it
yeah.
would be for baseball too, if they would just literally, men will do anything rather than go to therapy. It's like, just go to therapy. Just do it, guys.
Bruce
That's all you have to
Meyer will do anything to avoid
for therapy.
like finding an equitable solution for the majority of the body he represents. We have been at this for an hour and 45 minutes. And if anybody is still with us at this point, I applaud you, because that was a marathon, but we had a lot of pent up energy to expend.
Yeah, it's a two-parter, really. You just cut it in half.
Maybe I should. Maybe I should
No,
like
no,
make
no.
an
I'm saying
okay.
for the listener, they should just come back to.
Oh yeah, that's right. Well, that's the beauty of pre-recorded
Yeah.
media in
Yeah.
asynchronicity, is you can just pause it and play it again later. You don't have to watch it all in one go or listen to it all in one go, whatever the case may be. And so let's end it there.
Do we have any more
And
takes to yell about?
I don't have any more takes to yell about. That's it. That's all the takes. We are taked out. And so now we just wait for the baseball season to start and find out if we are right or wrong about our takes and predictions, and find out whether or not the Pirates can actually hit, and whether or not the pitcher's arms won't fall off, and all that cool stuff, and whether NBC can do a good baseball broadcast. I'm really hoping they do.
Do you think Bob Costas will be on that broadcast?
I don't know. Oh no, Jason Benetti. Jason Benetti's got the call.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, he's
One
really
thing that,
good.
That NBC did with their telecast for the NBA that I really enjoyed. It was like about 3 weeks ago. They did.
Oh, the
like
retro one.
Dude,
How cool was that?
Super
when
cool.
When you mentioned that, I flipped over to it and it's like, oh, they even got the graphics and the whole thing.
They had like the old school graphics. They had the booth. I think a couple of those guys had passed away, but like whoever was left from 94 or 95 was out there on the court and in the booth. And
great stuff.
The Chiron was old school. The graphics, the music. It even had, they even put on in the bumpers, not during the game itself, but during the bumpers, they put it in 4:3 like your television, and with the CRT, like, you know, filter.
Oh yeah,
Adobe.
Nostalgia Bomb. That's how you get us.
Oh, it was so
absolutely.
Good. So I hope we get something like that in baseball. Honest to God, I hope they go, because it was done tastefully, where it wasn't like. The one thing I'll say about this too, and we'll wrap it up, but like so far, the NBC actually talks about the sports that they cover. It's wild. It is wild that they actually talk about the game. Yeah. So I'm hoping that they actually talk about the game instead of, you know, Stephen A. Smith pregame yelling about like what LeBron ate.
Oh yeah,
You know?
the whole like TMZ for sports. Yeah, that's all ESPN is. Thanks for hanging around, everybody. Appreciate all of your time and attention. That's going to be it for this episode. We don't know when we'll be back. It'll be when we feel like it. But thank you for listening and watching. And you can subscribe in links down there somewhere. Audio listeners,
I don't care.
Or
we might be a
don't.
band that breaks up tomorrow. Who cares? This might be the last gig we do.
You never know. You never know. We might get hit by a bus, or we might just not care anymore. But thanks for hanging around, and hopefully we'll see you again next time. Bye.
Bye.